So, welcome to the Treasury Elite Entrepreneur Series. I would like to thank all our viewers and members for supporting this noble cause of Treasury Elite, whose main objective is networking, knowledge sharing, and mentoring. Time and again, we bring in world class speakers and business leaders across the world in the field of treasury, global financial markets, and entrepreneurship, and conduct various programs, webinars, and conferences in different formats. Treasury Elite Leadership Series is one such format where we learn from industry thought leaders about their experiences of running their businesses, opportunities, and challenges, the encounter and broad global trends they see for the future. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Abhishek Goenka, founder and CEO of IFA Global and Treasury Elite. We bring in world-class FX and treasury practices, financial transformations for companies across India over the last 15 years. And today we have Mr. Arun Jain, founder of Polaris Group and chairman and managing director of Intellect Design Arena Limited. Arun commenced his entrepreneurial journey by setting up Nucleus Software Workshop in 1986, Polaris Software in 93, and Intellect in 2011. An evangelist of design thinking, his brainchild, FinTech 8012, the world's first design center at Chennai dedicated to financial technology, came into being. Arun has been nominated as the chairperson of the Board of Governors of Indian Institute of Information Technology, Ranchi. He was bestowed with Dronacharya Award 2019 by Tricon Chennai. CII has confirmed the Lifetime Achievement Award to Arun at the India's Premium ICT event. He was also conferred the Lifetime Achievement Award at the 4th edition of the Design Thinking Conclave and Awards 2018. Welcome, Mr. Jain. How are you doing today? Glad to have you at the Treasury Elite Entrepreneur Series.
Thank you, Abhishek. It's a nice talking to you.
Pleasure.
Doing well.
In the next 35 minutes, we would love to learn from your experiences. So my first question to you, sir, is I think one common thread which I could link with a lot of global CEOs whom I talk is that they are just not doing this for the money. And at one point of time, it is something else. I would like to ask you, one of the single biggest reason for you to get out of bed every morning and get yourself to work. What is it that drives you today? Or if I may ask, what is your why?
Abhishek, this is a beautiful question that CEOs, successful CEOs, I would not say all the CEOs, successful CEOs have a purpose bigger than the money. Money can be only first motivation for survival, but it's a larger purpose which is there. I had a green card when I passed out from the college. I could have gone to US in 1983. The purpose, one of my brother-in-law told me, please come to US, you can't do anything in India. And that hurt me. But how can you say that you can't do anything in India and India is a rotten country in 83? And the person who has left India 10 years back or 15 years back can criticize his company. So that somewhere triggered my imagination, let's do something out of India. We don't need too many things out of India. So from then onwards, it is a software industry and putting India on a global map. And that is continuing from that day till now. We set up a Nucleus as the first company, then Polaris as second company, then Intellect in a product space. So people say, no, India cannot be best in products. It can be good in services, but Indian companies are not designed for products. Their mindsets are not product. And that's where I took a challenge in 2011 to prove to the world that we will sell our product from India to US and Europe rather than buying the product from. And Reserve Bank of India is one such example where our technologies are working. Or GM is a second example where our technologies are working. Rather than buying the technology from Amazon or they're buying the technology from FIS, we have India self-sustained with Indian technologies rather than a global technology. So that is giving me a big kick every day to design the product which is best in class. So my product has to be 120% better than my competitor because I have a lower brand to support. India brand is a lower brand from a product perspective. So my product quality has to be 120% better than even my global competitors. And that's a big ask for any company. I hope this answers the question.
Right. So it's a larger purpose of creating a great product, which took you to this journey. That's amazing. And sir, since your journey started in early 1986, what were the three major learnings if you look back? And how did you evolve spiritually as a person?
I think there are multiple sessions which happened. Sometime until 83 to 90, the journey was more about survival, more about creating a teams, more about creating a company itself. But 91, we attended one transformation leadership workshop. And 96 is another transformation leadership workshop with Anil Sachdeva in Dharamshala, where I was with 20 CEOs like Vikram Lal, Anu Aga was there in that session. And that was quite transformation. First transformation happened at that stage, where during the night conversation around the fire chat, the conversation Anil has asked, what is the purpose, what is the larger purpose you are working for? And suddenly that wake up the call that what is the nature gift to me, what God has given me the gift for this nature, because every human being comes with some gift. And that was a turning point for me, that if entrepreneurship is my core gift given to me by someone, a role of entrepreneurs to identify opportunities from any place with any customer, but it's a skill, it's a art, it's a nature gift. How can I create 30, 40, 50 entrepreneurs who can drive such agenda? The second transformation happened sometime in 2006 when my wife diagnosed a cancer, and I was till 2006, from 23 years I was running as a business person in every city, every country, and being in IT industry. Then you are almost quite a lot of time on the plane. And that's the first time I spent some time at home with her for almost 9 months when the treatment was going on. And during this period of time, though the sparks of spirituality or Jainism, learning Jainism literature came in 92, 93, but that's the time when it became dominant. And then I studied all the scriptures during that period of time. And then trying to relate those scriptures with the design thinking. Because what scripture says, Darshan, Gyan, Charitra, is a fundamental principles. And Darshan is nothing but a design thinking. So in the Western world, it's called design thinking. In Eastern world, it's called Darshan. Darshan is a way you think, the perspective, the way your thinking process is there. And design thinking is what? Designing the thinking. So, and these two dots got connected. It's a second transformation, which is, I would say, it took almost 2006 to 2009, 3 years for research, my personal research in getting it. Third transformation happened when I sold off Polaris, a brand which is I built and nurtured over the 23 years in 2016. And then went to Wardha, Gandhi birthplace, Gandhi Kuti. It's not a birthplace, it's a Gandhi Kuti. And there started the initiative called Mission Samriddhi, which is about celebrating the NGOs, connecting them and catalyzing them. So that's a third transformation on being further humility got set in after the 2016 agenda, and Mission Samriddhi is now working today in close to 100 villages right now at a grassroots level to understand the entire development framework of the villages and what issues are there, and in India Panchayat Forum and other element, which is giving me a huge amount of learning, which I would not have got by my own. But this 100 institutions which have been set it up over the period of time is giving me learnings very, very fast on the entire social landscape of India across multiple states, from eastern states of Assam to West Bengal to Jharkhand to Bihar to Maharashtra, Telangana. So it's a very, very interesting thing that how diversified this country is and how different systems are working. Still, there are countries together and countries running very smoothly year on year. So a lot of time when we see the negative of the country and we have a negative point, but in last 30 years, when you see the change, I don't think anybody has a problem today. There are many problems otherwise, but I think the basic problem of a clothing or eating have all, most of it is gone. It's some pockets of, there are other issues have now surfaced, which are social issues, which we need to work on to provide employment and excitement to them. So these are the three journeys, I would say, in my life.
That's so well described, sir. First, it was about growth, getting basics in place. Then it was about self-realization in 2006. And now it's about contribution, which you later realize, and now looking at the overall landscape. I think that's a very positive picture that you have put in across everyone, that, let's look at the positive, that how India has transformed and the basics have been taken care of. That's amazing. Sir, you have been in the software industry. You have seen the entire industry growing. And as you rightly said, that we were always been known as a land which used to export a lot of software services, but could not create innovative products. But do you think that with the trend, are we at a major inflection point where we are going to see a major influx of new products getting exported rather than just services? What phase of IT growth are we in as compared in India?
I would say I have a mixed feeling because still service money is very soft money coming to us because it's more of a huge amount of employment is there and you get a good 30-40% margin on the services business. It doesn't give that kind of a need for creating something which is a product business or large business. So we have great digital industry, IT industry is growing very well. But hunger for building the product requires a huge amount of personal commitment and the money commitment. And our investor pressure on quarter to quarter results are forcing the companies to keep showing EBITDA margins. And though they may have a 50,000 crores sitting in a balance sheet, but those 50,000 crores are not meant to invest 10,000 crores for something to create a Microsoft or a Facebook or any of these companies of that nature. So that courage is missing right now. The great hope is from the entrepreneurs which are coming up in a cloud industry now, where they are like whether Paytm is doing a good job or a Freshworks is doing a good job or Zoho is doing a good job. So they are coming in a cloud product industry, which is very, very interesting the way they are working to capture the global market. But there is still very small confidence is there because it requires a huge investment. Intellect invested in last 5 years when we separated. We were making, Polaris is making 200 crore profit a year. We'll end up into investing 200 crore losses every year for first 4 years. And investor doesn't support any of such initiative in India. The mindset of investor is to have a cash coming into the company to invest. So Indian culture of the investor also is looking for what is next 12 months rather than what is for next 10 years. And that's where I think the system has to shift because we invested 1,700 crore in SG&A last 5 years. We invested 1,200 crore in R&D in last for 5 years. How many? I was fortunate because I was a promoter. I had the privilege of having Polaris backing, and where I split the company into two, so I didn't have to go anywhere. Still, I have to raise 300 crore in this period of time out of 1,700 crore. Rest of it self-generated in the company. But how you generate 2,000 plus crore for a product, software product business, which doesn't have a touch and feel. So That's the current stage, I would say, Abhishek.
So you're right. So whenever I talk to people, they only say that the biggest problem is that today India has got limited resources. You just can't go and buy and borrow $500 million from a bank or from an investor and look for a 10-year gestation period. Whereas the developed and the matured economies, because they have this MMT theory of printing as much money as possible because government or larger institution have the backing and the money is available at almost 0.1% interest rates. So they can look at longer gestation period. And by the time their finances mess up, a new Facebook or a new Amazon or a new Google comes up and it takes care of the entire money which has been lost in 1,000 startups where the money has been lost. I understand. I mean, I was talking to Vallabh Bansali, one of the renowned investment bankers. So Vallabh was, in fact, we were discussing on this point. Until unless we start thinking like them, they start thinking like Japan, China, US, Europe, and we still live in that, isolation box where we think, oh, no, we don't want to spend so much. We want to manage our finances. Innovations can't happen in a country like India. We'll keep exporting manpower and nothing.
It's easy money, I think. It's a trading mentality. It's just a trading of the products with the trading of the human resources.
Sometimes people say that we are running an HR firm rather than just a software company. So, sir, what in your journey? What was the major innovation that your company had undertaken to increase the revenue per client or the number of clients and having a great culture of client delight while maintaining profitability?
I think all of this cannot come together. It's a question of what comes first in the chain. So first important thing for any creativity, when we talk about creativity and innovation, I think these are the words which we use for management jargon and hundreds of books we read and we say, okay, after reading the book, we can create another Facebook in India, another Google in India, and another. I think first of all, you touch upon culture, the word culture. What does the culture means? A lot of time, it's loosely used the word culture. Culture doesn't happen overnight. Culture is a phenomena which happens by multiple small elements which goes into culture. So when I studied Silicon Valley in US in 2007 when I was visiting it. I said, how is Silicon Valley, which is such a small area of and having 3 million people, even including San Francisco, how that is challenging the entire East Coast of New York and all the investment bankers. They produce and churn out more wealth in the last 20 years than entire East Coast has done it.
Right.
Something is there inherent in that. Why Silicon Valley cannot be repeated in New York itself? We are not talking about Silicon Valley in India, but Silicon Valley in US itself.
Correct.
And then I just suddenly realized that in 1908, Harvard started MBA, where they produce managers. In 1992, Stanford started design thinking course. First time in 1992. Design thinking, which is a intersection of left brain and right brain, from customer empathy to creating a product which is of high quality, methodical, analytical products to be coming in. And that's where they differentiate. They differentiate from just a left brain to a full brain of the Indian darshan. And that's where I connected with the Indian scriptures. And that's where I think Steve Jobs came to India, connected that particular piece of India, that India thinks holistically. India never thinks left and right. And this misnomer is there on left and right brain. Then I say, how do you translate this culture to India? I designed the full program. Every employee in the company, I took a personal training programs with everybody. Almost 2,000 people I trained personally on design thinking between 2009 to 2011. Then impact was still limited. Then I said, okay, you need, when you define a culture, you need a temple before it. You need a physical place where you can feel the culture of the company. And then we took 30,000 square feet and created a design center, invested 70 crore rupees, $10 million in 2013. It's world-class center of design center, because when people come, they get inspired. Place, temple means inspiration, place for inspiration. When we go on weekend, it's a clean, reflective. It's not about which idol you worship. It's about the place where you change from your regular place. And that's what I call a temple. And for culture, you need a temple of excellence. And the temple of excellence of design center we created. And that's how the thinking process started changing from a order taker to a problem solver to a agenda setter. So there are 3 stages in the human brain. First, you are an order taker. Somebody tells you, a father tells a son, please bring me a glass of water. It's an order taking. When you're solving the problem, and then you're setting the agenda for yourself. And that mindset of agenda setting with the customer is first important thing, where you build a trust with first you build a desire of the customer that he wants to buy your services. Then you build a trust with him, where he can trust you fully. When for any problem, he will call you. And third stage is you set the agenda for him that 2025, dear customer, you will need these 5 technologies. And when you reach the third level, the customer profitability and all other element becomes secondary. It automatically comes, because customer always pay when he gets a value added. If I'm adding 100 crore for customer profitability, he'll definitely share 10% of it or 15% of it, even if you ask in some shape and form, whatever shape and form is there. So that's a whole philosophy of creating a business with me, rather than creating a business on a G kind of a metrics.
Right.
By creating a performance benchmarks and customer profitability per customer, depth per customer. To me, that will only lag indicator. They are not lead indicators.
Correct. That's a very interesting thought, what you put about Silicon Valley and New York, and the way they create things, and the match between left and right brain, and look at the holistic picture. So what impresses you most when you are hiring people, and how do you create a world-class team which shares a common mission?
What I liked about the people, is hunger, basically. Humble, hungry, smart. So the 3 characteristics which I defined, he needs to be humble. Humble means he is continuous learning. So his learning capacity, I want to check it up, what kind of a learning capacity he has. So learning capacity comes with humility. A lot of quick successes in the life makes a person arrogant, and that's not going to be the team player in the intellect. Second is he needs to be hungry. He have to be a high energy person to drive the things. And finally, he's smart. Smart to me is he can observe patterns. He can observe anti-patterns in the market. He is customer empathetic. He is having the ability to connect the dots, and he can able to acknowledge his blind spots when he's moving forward. So these are 4 elements of I describe a smartness as. And this creates a culture of smart people coming in who are humble. So we have a R&D team of more than 800 people in Intellect, and they are very, 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 very smart, and they're working collaboratively because they are humble. They are working more collaboratively. Sometimes when we hire people, few arrogant, few smart people, I think that's not the way they can come in the company for short period, but on longer period, you need your core committed people. We have people in IT industry, Abhishek, who have never written a resume in last 30 years. They joined the company and they are with the company from 91 onwards, and they never thought of writing a resume. They never have a resume in their life, and there are more than 100 such people in the company.
Excellent. I asked this question to so many people. With the clarity with which you told about humble, hungry, and smart, and the way you described the concept of blind spot and taking care of customers, and this was very clear. People do say energy and all, but I think your framework of understanding people and hiring people was crystal clear. I would love to appreciate you for that, actually. And definitely I learned a couple of points from this answer of yours, which I'm definitely going to implement. One was understanding your blind spots, and this is something which is very frequently used by Mr. Ray Dalio, one of the largest investors in the planet. He talks about blind spots, that people sometimes are not able to understand their blind spots.
That's acknowledging it. Well, the first is understanding, second is acknowledging it.
Correct. And then working on it.
Once you acknowledge it, you start working it.
Yes,
Acknowledgement the journey starts as soon as you acknowledge. But most of the time, human mind is so smart, we don't want to acknowledge it. Our mind is like a child. It just plays with us.
Correct.
We need to observe the mind different from us. So that's what Sakshi Bhava we call it in meditation.
That's so rightly said. Sir, one fun fact about you which people do not know.
Not so much now. I think in college days we used to have some fun, but sometime I was traveling to Delhi, spontaneous travel. I love the spontaneity. Whenever I book any of my vacation in advance, it never happens. It only happens just book a ticket and I call my wife that let's go tonight to Chicago. He said, tonight means what? I'm saying I'll come back home at 6 o'clock and 11 o'clock is a flight to go to Chicago. So, and then next day morning, I'll meet my son there in Chicago home. So those spontaneities there. I was traveling in Delhi where I was going to India Gate to show in National Museum to kids and niece and nephews. And then I said, look, why won't somebody ask a question about Taj Mahal? I said, let's go and see the Taj Mahal. So he said, Taj Mahal, how far it is? In 90s, it was taking 3 hours time. He said, car is there. Let me drive to Taj Mahal. So from there we called up and didn't have a reservation. We didn't have a packing material. I said, we'll purchase something for one night. Is not a big issue. So those kind of a spontaneity, what I love.
Arun ji, I share this trait with you. I exactly plan my holidays, and as you rightly said, you plan something 3 months in advance, the tickets gets changed. And I remember planning my first anniversary and many other holidays like this, where we have just planned in 2 hours time, and that's a level of excitement that you get. That you can plan so fast and you can do it, and then it's completely a new adventure altogether.
It is an adventure. That's right.
100% agree on this. Sir, tell us about your initiative, Startup Nukkad. I was personally very interested in this, and do you remember any major instance you shared about Mr. Sajdeva in the training program that you attended? Any major instance where a major idea or thoughts from a mentor completely changed the course of your life?
Okay, so there are two questions you are bundling into this one question.
Startup Nukkad,
The whole idea of startup, I think still I am not able to solve the problem. Some of the startups which I started sometime 2000, Maverick is one such startup which started. It's now a 1,200 people company, or Adrenaline is another startup we started in HR product space. So each startup is a very interesting journey, and some of the failed startups are there with me, which I are not able to take up in spite of the market has changed, sufficient investment is not there in the right time, sufficient teams are not there. So there are many things which are learning. So Startup Nukkad gives a strong amount of learning of understanding the organizational dynamics, because once you succeed in Intellect or Polaris, there was some factor which was there. But in each startup, each environment is new, where you need to design a product. From designing a product, designing the business model. From business model, you have to design the customer model and go-to-market model. So it's a journey. I would call 6 elements are required for every startup, which I call it belief. Belief is a framework which we call it, each alphabet of belief is a one capital. So we call it finance capital. You are responsible for finance capital, but belief has a F for finance capital. But first, B start from brand capital. E stands for end customer capital, whatever you're designing. L for leadership capital, I for your product capital, intellectual property of the company. E stands for execution capital. How do you execute operations and how you deliver to the customer? And F is finance capital. So there are 6 capitals. And if 6 capital is in a startup system or any other company, if it's a 1 centimeter cube is there, if it become 3 centimeter cube, the total volume of the cube grows 27 times. So all the startups have a potential to grow not in linear fashion, but 27 times, because each side, one brand is 3 times, end customer 3 times, leadership 3 times, IP 3 times, and a product 3 times. Finance is the outcome of all the capital coming together to create a belief capital framework. And that's what we try to put it over there. By simplifying these processes of these frameworks helps in human mind to aggregate the knowledge in a specific shelves, which I call it cataloging the knowledge system in design thinking. And that drives the 3 laws of design thinking. 3 laws of design thinking, which I call it, law number 1 is less is more. Apple generate $250 billion with just 5 products versus IBM has 100 products. We still generate $80 billion. Second, last 2% is 200%. It is not about 98% products. A lot of companies build up 98% products. It's not about 98% product. The difference of iPhone is 3 times the pricing of a level phone. Pricing of 5-star is 3 times the pricing of a 3-star hotel. But they have the same rooms. Size of the room is similar. But it's last 2% that makes a difference.
Correct.
And third is when you make a decision, don't make a decision on linear scale of 1 to 10. It's about 10 gram, 100 gram, 1000 gram. So every activity which you are seeing and you are working on, you need to spot which is 1000 gram. Because human mind has been tuned by the weight, not by the measurement on the length or something. Because childhood, we have been generated on a weight. So I call it 1000 gram item. So when any meeting happens, so you pick up 2000 gram item instead of 20 100 gram items or 210 gram items. A lot of time we run on the startup system, run on a treadmill by picking 10 items, and everybody feels they are doing a great job and they are doing a hard work. So when you execute a lot of 10 gram items, you will be seeing you are doing a hard work, not a smart work. Correct. So that's how I would say this learning process, which continuously happens with the startup occurred.
Correct. No, sir, it was a lovely discussion with you. I think you put in some very, very interesting idea. Of course, your concept of belief, your concept of hiring great people to build a team, your ideas on constant innovation, ideas on culture, and the major spiritual journeys which you encountered. This was a very eye opener for all the people, all entrepreneurs or professionals who are eyeing to becoming entrepreneurs. I think I thoroughly enjoyed my discussion with you over the last 1 hour. And I think I once again, thank you for your time and thank you for sharing your wisdom over the last 30, 40 years with us. I think it's been a tremendous conversation. And I have personally learned a lot from you in this conversation. Thank you so much, Arunji.